Welcome to the DNA Advantage podcast, where you can learn facts about your DNA that can help you live a healthier, longer life, doing all the activities you dream of doing. If you want to gain more control over your health and the factors that influence it, you're in the right place. Welcome to the DNA Advantage Healthy on Purpose podcast. I'm Lisa Witherow, and today I am going to be running through some of the root causes of focus and attention issues. When we have symptoms that we can't figure out, a lot of times we try to cover them up or just deal with them and manage them in ways that we hear other people having success. It really is just guessing. We're really trying to give ourselves some relief instead of looking at the root cause. One of the things I wanted to run through today, using focus and attention as an example, is how we can zoom into the actual root cause to affect change and really support our bodies in a full and complete way. One of the areas that I would look at for ADHD or even focus and attention issues that come and go is to better understand our system and which system of our body is most likely to be the cause. One is looking at neurotransmitters. And when we look at genetics related to neurotransmitters, there are key genes that can result in difficulty focusing and difficulty navigating our lives with consistency, without distraction, and being able to narrow in on the key topics that we want to narrow in on. We can look at dopamine receptors, dopamine transporting, the enzymes that help convert dopamine to norepinephrine, and then, of course, we look at norepinephrine, and we look at serotonin, understanding specific genes that are involved in all of those processes can help us understand where the breakdown is, if that is the key area that's involved. When we look at other contributors, how it presents itself, when we are having focus and attention issues, do we feel agitated? Are we in fight or flight? Do we have any kind of other sensitivities, irritations, or symptoms that demonstrate more about what the root cause is? When we understand this, we can look at the genes that are more likely to be involved. There are two genes that would be very important to consider related to this. When we look at our catecholamines and we understand how quickly we run through our dopamine, that gives us a much better sense of the flow and how our bodies can vary. If there's a lot of fluctuation in our focus and attention and mood and agitation level, it's really valuable to know that and to be able to support our system in that way. When we notice that we have catecholamine issues, we can give our body support to either speed up the processing of dopamine or slow it down. So there are certain herbs and nutrients that we can use to give our bodies a sense of calm or to really be able to experience our moods in a more stable way. And that allows us to be more focused. We are able to support our bodies in a really specific way when it comes to serotonin as well. And when we know that our bodies are able to process neurotransmitters more efficiently, when we look at our genetics, we're able to determine if the neurotransmitters are a likely suspect or if they're very likely to be balanced. When we look at our genes, it's one view of our processes. We can be affected by external factors where it influences our genetics, it influences our neurotransmitters, and so it isn't a final determination that we do or don't have a neurotransmitter issue, but it's very compelling information because it is our core competencies. And how susceptible are we to those external elements to have more of an imbalance of our neurotransmitters? Another category that we really need to look at is deficiencies. And whether we've had focus and attention issues our whole lives or more recently will help us better understand which category is more likely and how to support it. When we look at deficiencies, it could be vitamin D. Studies have shown that 78.4% of children who were experiencing ADHD were found to be deficient in vitamin D versus 48% of those children who were assessed who didn't present with ADHD symptoms. There are other nutrients that the body really needs for focus: magnesium, zinc, iron, copper, omega-3, and the B vitamins B2, B6, and folate are critical for our focus and attention. When we have certain things like stress in our lives, that can lower our magnesium and our vitamin D. When we have a high viral load, or if we have other kinds of challenges in our environment, it can affect our level of nutrients, which could result in a deficiency as well. So we need to be aware of how susceptible our genes are, and then we have to also monitor what is affecting us externally, and of course what our diet is. Another category is hormone imbalance. That may influence our concentration, impulsiveness, and our inattention. So we need to be able to appreciate what time of our lives we're experiencing focus and attention issues and what other factors there are when it comes to our hormone balance, and whether we are experiencing those symptoms right after a pregnancy or during a pregnancy, or if we are experiencing issues during a certain time of our lives when hormones could be out of balance. Heavy metals are another contributor to focus and attention issues. Mercury and lead have both been found to interfere with neural signaling, and lead even at the lowest levels. So children who have inattention, if they have challenges with retaining information and learning, heavy metals are definitely something we need to consider. Other toxins can also interfere. When the body is burdened with toxins, it can be very distracting. The mind is focused on survival and being able to just manage the current challenges rather than focusing on learning or retaining information. Food allergies and sensitivities can also create a sense of urgency for the immune system to be flaring, and things like food dyes and common food allergies like milk, wheat, soy, and chocolate can be very disruptive when it comes to focus and attention. So we really need to look at what is going on with our genes to understand how well we are able to process each of the food categories, and how well are we able to detoxify. When it comes to heavy metals and food, we need to be able to detoxify certain elements that might be either added to foods or food dyes, herbicides, and pesticides that could be added that could be creating problems for the body. Heavy metals obviously are something that we consider to be toxic. We want to make sure that our detoxification pathways are really efficient. And if there are certain genes that are compromised, how can we support them? When we look at hormone imbalances too, we can certainly look at genetics and appreciate what can be most supportive of balancing, in addition to anything that's external, and what we can do to actually promote our hormone balance. When we're removing things like toxins and BPA, endocrine disruptors like that, we're able to give support to the catecholamine genes as well, because the methylation process is also involved in detoxifying. So we want to make sure that we are looking at not just one gene, but we're understanding how all the genes are working together. Our inflammation genes are another category that can be really helpful to understand, because inflammation can slow the thyroid, interfere with our pathways, and give us an overall systemic distraction from health and therefore from focus and attention. If our brain is worried about a basic survival need, it's less likely to be focused on the things that are not essential to survival. Ultimately, we have a huge advantage when we know our genetics, because our DNA is able to give us insights as to what our body needs for extra support and what we need to do to protect and preserve our health. When we understand our genetics related to neurotransmitters, nutrients that are necessary, hormone function, detoxification, and the processing of foods and food additives, all of those things are really important for focus and attention. Not all of those areas are going to be compromised for us, but when we do appreciate which one is in need of support, we are able to address the root cause and not guess at what is actually needed and how we can actually feel better and have better focus. For those who don't have their DNA data already, it's certainly insightful to look at these categories. Think about when you have symptoms and what is contributing to focus and attention. You can get a lot of hints from your body and from your experiences that you've had. And if there has been a time where focus and attention was much better or much worse, you can get a lot of information from that and start documenting. Eventually, when you do get your DNA, you have more information and can appreciate what to zoom in on first to learn about your body. I hope this information has been helpful for you and has given you ideas on how to support your focus and concentration. Thank you so much for joining me today, and have a great week. Thanks so much for joining me to learn about DNA health. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. If you'd like to join my free community where we delve into more details about DNA, just click Community below.